The Sun have got an interesting story on Marcus Rashford, who we know is going to dominate.
He's going to be a big name this month, no doubt about it. And on paper, in the papers, on paper, this is a transfer that sort of makes sense. A potential swap deal, dramatic swap deal, shock swap deal, call it what you want, between Victor Osimhen and Marcus Rashford.
Muchas cosas, ¿sabe? Creo que hay cosas muy más importantes.
Well, as the World Cup moves into the latter stages, business is starting to heat up in the Premier League. For more on the latest transfer news, as you can see, I'm joined by James Savundra. James, we've seen some major midfield moves already in the Premier League. Looking like Manchester United might be next in line to make a move. Who are they looking at?
Well, Aurelien Tchouaméni and Alex Scott remain very high on their list of midfield targets. They've missed out on Matheus Fernandes. He's joining Tottenham. We've seen Elliot Anderson go to Manchester City. Sandro Tonali will be confirmed very soon as a Spurs player as well. And we know midfield is the priority for Manchester United in this transfer window. So I mentioned those two players there. In terms of other players on this list, Felix Metscher, Ayoub Boadi, Sander Berger at Fulham and Eduardo Camavinga at Real Madrid. Now, the situation around the two Real Madrid players is slightly confused here because Real Madrid themselves are looking for a revamp in midfield this summer. So if they are to bring in a midfielder, we know they've been looking at the likes of Rodri. They put out a statement about Enzo Fernandez, which we'll get onto later today. But if there is room for them to move on one midfielder, it's felt Camavinga could be the player who departs. So that could be a potential alternative for Manchester United. But it feels like Alex Scott and Tchouaméni are two of the top targets right now.
Wanted potentially by Manchester United. Now, we know what Manchester United, their key target this season is a top-class number 6, Casemiro, who is obviously adored by Manchester United. I think they, obviously singing about him staying an extra year, but they are going to be looking for an extra number 6. They're all but certain to have secured Champions League football. And you can see Manchester United just look, it's weird them not being in Europe, but that season without Europe has really helped them. But next season they'll be back in Europe. All the fixtures, they need a stronger squad. And Real Madrid are reportedly open to offers because Florentino Perez would potentially, like Rodri at Manchester City, big-name midfielders could be dominating the transfer agenda this summer. Also goes on to say that if Manchester City are favourites to sign Nottingham Forest's Elliot Anderson, who Forest, if they stay up, which is looking likely at the moment, would want at least £100 million for the midfielder. So the season hasn't finished yet, but we are already deep in transfer mode.
Muchas cosas, ¿sabe? Creo que hay cosas muy más importantes que el partido y que el fútbol. Y como hemos dicho, Vinicius ha seguido con la confianza y muy focalizado en lo que tiene que hacer. Y ahora creo que es una victoria para la gente que están contra el racismo. Muchas cosas, ¿sabe? Creo que hay cosas muy más importantes que el partido y que el fútbol. Y como hemos dicho, Vinicius ha seguido con la confianza y muy focalizado en lo que tiene que hacer. Y ahora creo que es una victoria para la gente que están contra el racismo.
And this is, for me, in terms of the squad, when you say overhaul, do you think there'll be a lot of clubs at the moment, considering the form of the players, that will be paying the money that Man United would want for the players?
I think what there'll be is a...
Well, we can actually bring you some